One of three GOP candidates for Congress, and of course the primary is coming up on Tuesday night. It'll be noon till 9 p.m. It's a biggie, folks. And Stephen Wells in studio right now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Bill.
So we asked you, and really, when we asked the Assemblywoman about the June 18th date, I want to clarify here because somebody keeps, we keep hearing from Claudia that this is. I do vote. I'm. They keep saying I have the worst record, and I'm not challenging that. That has nothing to do with what our challenge has been. Our challenge has been about the authenticity of the statement, which says I was not campaigning in 2014 on June 18th. Instead, I was going back and forth and taking care of my dying mother. The authenticity of that statement is what we question. And the same issue here. We're not questioning whether or not your company gave checks or if you were involved or, we don't, that's none of it. My question is about honesty. So when you said I didn't sign those checks, we wanted to know, are you telling the truth? And we asked for the checks. And here you are today. So what have you brought in for us?
And I brought you the checks you asked for.
Along with an affidavit. Describe what that is and who has signed those and sworn to their accuracy.
Well, since you probably can't read the chicken scratch signatures on the checks, I figured that it would be important to verify. So these are legal affidavits, notarized and signed. One's by the chief financial officer, who states in here that he's witnessed the signatures thousands of times of my brother and my cousin who wrote the two checks.
Yeah.
So, and the other one is from the chief executive assistant, who reports directly to them both.
That was thorough.
So you have two independent people saying the same thing, essentially.
Okay. All right, that's fair enough. And Christine, the dates of those checks and the amount of money basically matches up with what we've been hearing.
Yeah, I'm still taking notes over here, but the one is March 31st in the amount of $5,000, and that is signed by Martin Wells. And
that's your brother.
That's right.
Okay. All right, she's going through those documents. Jeff Manaske.
Sure. Okay, so let me ask, were checks written to any other candidates from in the name of American Vending?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, we've written checks to political, as most companies do. And as I mentioned before, the overwhelming majority of our corporate political donations are to Republicans. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that.
And I think that this goes back. It's interesting because it really goes back to what Trump is fighting against because he gave to Hillary Clinton, and here he is, and his answer is, well, yeah, that's what we do in business. You kind of give to everybody. You don't want to alienate yourself because when one side gets in control, you're kind of stuck with that.
Well, I think that is his philosophy. But the in my case, again, I did not support the governor. I do not support the governor. You're never going to find a statement saying I supported the governor. I worked against the governor. I worked for Rob Astorino against the governor. And for the record, even the company donated to Rob Astorino on the other side against the governor. So and the idea that somehow we're the largest donators to Cuomo is just ludicrous. I mean, the fact is, you brought up Donald Trump. Donald Trump gave $84,000, so 800% more than our company gave.
Yeah.
We're not the largest donators. It's nonsense.
Okay. All right.
So the average person
gave $84,000 to Cuomo.
To Cuomo.
Okay.
The average person is going to ask, well, if you don't support the governor, why would you or your company feel that you must give to him or his campaign or give to both campaigns, and why so much money?
Well, look, you'll have to ask the people who did this donation. I didn't know about it. I didn't authorize it, and there's no way I would have approved it if it was me. Again, I supported Astorino. Okay, but and it's family business. Everybody doesn't, every business I guess works differently and decides about who they're willing to donate to or not. But I don't control everything that goes on in our company. I don't deny the fact that the companies donate. It's public record who we donate to.
Yeah,
sure.
So I think that's Trump's position. Is that in politics, for my own self, I try to make my political donations, whether it's through my own self or if I'm doing it through the, on behalf of the company, for purposes of good government. I have to rely upon my business partners that they also had good reasons in their mind for why they did these donations.
Interesting, because when Trump talks about it, he doesn't hold back. It's just, I do it because they do, after I give them this money, they do exactly what I tell them to do, which I'm not sure I completely believe that, but there's some truth in that, I guess. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit.
Can I hit a
Yep.
couple more? I'm
Yep.
sorry. The Astorino, I know you personally donated to Rob Astorino. Did you authorize or approve the donations to Rob Astorino?
from the
From
company.
from the company?
Yes.
So I guess my question is why, in some cases, you have say in who would get the money there, and in some cases you don't. Can you explain that?
Yeah, in our company, it's a family company. We all have signing authority. The officers of the company have independent signing authority. We don't go to each other for every donation, and we give. And first of all, when I mention donations, by the way, political donations are about the least percentage of donations that we make, and we get hit every single day by philanthropies, people looking for money from our company, and we donate vast amounts of money to local charities, national charities, juvenile diabetes, United Way. I can go on and on and on. And so political donations. I mean, look, we got 1,500 employees. Thousands and thousands of checks are written every week. We don't go to each other for every check that's written.
All right, we're going to go to Christine at the end of this to report on what she's gone through and taken notes on. But we're talking with Stephen Wells, and of course, the primary is Tuesday night. You have another debate coming up tomorrow night down in the Binghamton area. Let's get off the campaign for a second and talk about last night. You will be, if elected in November, in the House of Representatives, and you would be among the chaos that occurred last night. Did you see any of what happened last night?
No, I didn't. I was just driving in. I was just
there's a sit-in.
Yeah,
There's, I mean, it's crazy. Are you sure? I mean, I asked you this the last time. Are you sure you haven't gotten into something that? Are you okay with this?
I'm not sure, but look, at the end of the day, it's a participatory democracy,
Yeah.
Bill. And if we don't stand up for what's right and try to do the very best we can, then who do we have to blame?
Well, let's ask about what the topic is. And, of course, it's the issue of background checks. You know, in New York State, we have really some of the toughest gun laws in the country. We're used to it. As my father says, listen, I don't know anything else. It's what we're stuck with here. But you go elsewhere, gun shows, internet sales, there's no background check whatsoever. So they're asking for that. And the big issue is that the Democrats seem to be jumping on for, by the way, this is all political grandstanding, it seems, but they're asking about this no-fly list, which involves terrorists. Where do you stand on that? And would you be okay with those background checks? Would you be okay with preventing people on that no-fly list from getting guns?
Well, look, we don't want potential terrorists to have guns. Obviously, I think
Yeah.
it's an obvious answer to the question. But the issue is, you have 1 million or more people that are on a no-fly list, and it's been over and over again. We found lots of citizens that were placed on there wrongly. And so just because you have a name, it says Jose Rodriguez. I can tell you from being a prosecutor, if I go do an FBI search and put in Jose Rodriguez, there's going to be 10,000 people with that name. And American citizens that have done nothing wrong get placed on these lists. And so I'm okay with making sure we've got to make sure the terrorists don't get guns. But look, you can't just take away people's constitutional rights because the government and the executive branch comes up with a list. There's got to be, and there is a way, by the way. There's a mechanism. We have a mechanism. We go before an independent court, a judge.
So what you're saying is this list is without due process.
There's no due process.
Right.
And so if there's a finding of probable cause, then fine. Then
Right.
let's not let these people have access to weapons. Of course I'm against it.
Yeah. It's very easy when you're hearing the Democrats stand up on the floor of the House and say, the Republicans are for allowing terrorists to get guns.
It's
and that's
nonsense.
really not true.
It's
At the end of the
totally
day,
not
though,
true.
this is very complicated, and they know it. They're grandstanding right now for hopes of regaining some control in Congress. How about the background checks? I mean, we go through it here when you buy a gun. Is it wrong to ask for a background check when it comes to internet sales or gun show sales?
I mean, look, I don't know. I've not heard the case made why we need more rigorous, we've already, let me ask you a question. Do you feel safer here in New York than you do anywhere else?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it's not been proven that the states that have, and the cities that have far more rigorous gun control are safer than other places that don't.
Chicago.
For Chicago, for
Great
example,
example.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah. So how do you correct this problem? How do we stop these these mass shootings?
I mean, you're really getting to the heart of it, and that is the question. And this other, what's going on down there is exactly grandstanding, because it isn't going to solve gun violence. I can tell you as a prosecutor, the key is the person who has the intent to go out and kill someone. When someone develops the intent and they're willing to go kill someone, or in this case, horrifically, willing to kill in mass.
Yeah.
how do we stop that person? You got to stop them before they get.
Yeah.
You understand?
And the problem comes in too, where and I would imagine, how do we? Okay, so then we're going to say mentally ill. The mentally ill, the mentally deranged are not going to get guns. So we saw this back in the 1950s with women. A woman was classified as mentally ill when she decided she wanted to divorce her husband, and she was sent off for electroshock therapy. How do we regulate, and who gets to decide who's mentally unstable? That's going to be a tough nut to crack right there.
Well, it is, but look, courts are doing this every day already.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a standard. This is being done right now. This is nothing new.
You feel it should happen in a court?
I should. Somebody's got to make the decision.
Yeah.
I mean, there's due process. American citizens. I can't just accuse you of, because I don't like you, of saying that you're unstable. I mean, there's due process. You go before a judge and you have a psychiatrist. I mean, this is done every day in courts right now across America.
At least in this case, you have procedure.
Yes.
Right.
That's what we're entitled to under our Constitution, substantive due process.
Okay, I want to quickly switch to Social Security. Coming out, there's a slight increase in Social Security this year. This is important to a lot of, to many seniors. But now they're saying in another 17 years, we're going to be about 79% whole. That means if you were supposed to get a $2,000 check, you might get about $1,500. What are we going to do? What are your ideas, and how do we move forward on Social Security?
Yeah, first of all, it's utterly irresponsible that we got to this place because, as you know, the government raided Social Security. So all these folks that have been paying into Social Security for their retirement, the government said they weren't going to do it, but of course they did. They went and raided their money, essentially. And so now it's going broke. Any business person with common sense would look at this situation and say, we've got to make some changes. Now, the question are, what changes? It's irresponsible of the Congress, which has done nothing. Totally gridlocked. Everybody talks, but the fact of the matter is they say it's the third rail of politics. Don't say anything about it. You can't do anything about it. And it keeps kicking the can down the road until we go broke. And that's exactly what you're seeing happening, Bill. So what are you going to do about it? Any business person, I think, would tell you, who looks at the situation and says, you've got to make changes. What kind of changes? I mean, look, personally, I don't think it's fair to take away Social Security or make changes to people who are already at or above retirement age. You can't take somebody who's 85 now. They can't go back to work now. We can't change their situation. But for young people, I mean, look at my kids. The life expectancy of my kids' generation, who are now, my kids are 11 and 12, it's going to be well into the 80s or 90s, maybe even 100, okay? They don't need to retire at 65. And if the Congress would have 20 years ago, when this issue was brought up, would have acted instead of keep kicking the can, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in. And so we've got to act. And so this idea that we can't ever touch the retirement age, we can all sit here and watch it go broke in front of us if we're not going to do anything about it.
It's interesting. We have to act, and I think that's what's going on right now in Washington. As we speak, there is a play going on. It's on the floor of the House, and these House members are acting, theatrically acting. And there's so much of that goes on and no real action. That's the scary part of what happens in Washington. All right, let's switch to Christine and the checks that you brought in here today. So what did you witness there, Christine Bellino?
So, and I think we all saw the same thing. There are a series of 2 affidavits, about 3 individual checks. The affidavits were completed by Susan Hoyt, who's a senior executive assistant, and J. Michael Hadley, who's CFO of American Food and Vending. Hadley also serves as a financial advisor to Kirkwood Ventures, which wrote one of the checks, or 2 of the checks, but Stephen Wells is not a member of Kirkwood Ventures. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So the one check from American Food Vending is check number 1020 in the amount of $5,000. That's payable to Andrew Cuomo, 2018, signed by Martin Wells. The other from American Food Vending is check number 237875 from 2014 in the amount of $1,000. That is to Andrew Cuomo, 2014, signed by Martin Wells. And the Kirkwood Ventures check 1175 is for Cuomo, 2018, in the amount of $5,000, and that one was signed by Joshua Wells. And all of those signatures were signed for and validated by Susan Hoyt and J. Michael Hadley.
Both of them brothers of yours?
No, Josh is my cousin.
Is your cousin? Okay. And so the total of those checks, Christine, did you total them up?
The total is $11,000.
Okay, there's the $11,000. Now, the way it's supposed to be done is we present the evidence that we can find, and it's up to the public to decide if they feel you're sincere in your answer and what you provided to us. That's the way it's supposed to be done, and I think that's what we've accomplished here.
Well, I said the facts, and and just for the record, our campaign has only put out true facts. It's the fact. Her record, her voting record, it's a fact. The public can accept it. The people she represents, if they're willing to put up with that, not showing up, that's up to the voting. That's up to the voters. But the fact is, and I might add, Bill, I know you mentioned just about the honesty or veracity of her statement with regard to June 18th, but it isn't just about June 18th. She said she was only taking care of her mother. She was not campaigning. And that's the reason that she missed just a few votes.
Yeah.
But it isn't. There's a history here over 3 years of her missing hundreds of votes on important issues. And so it isn't just with regard to June 18th. And any one day, any person could be mistaken. Anybody could make a mistake. It isn't just one day. That's not only what happened here. It's a much broader picture that tells a tale that goes back to her voting record from 2013 to including 4 months of this year, 2016, missing votes. Over the first 4 months of this year, she missed votes in every single month.
We also looked into, because we were told that the votes were made up and they were paper ballots. Talk about that.
Yeah, I heard that when she was in here, and
Yeah.
I thought, geez, I don't know that much about the assembly. Let me check about that. And I encourage you to, why don't you call
We did.
Senator Griffo and get him on the.
They don't count.
Yeah, they don't count.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can't. And think about it. It makes sense from a logical standpoint. If members of the assembly could just come in later, the vote's meaningless,
Right.
and that's what it is. There is no such thing. You can't vote by absentee. They don't have a mechanism for absentee voting in the New York State Assembly or the New York State Senate. You can't sit home and vote remotely. They don't have that. You've got to be there on the floor. Look at these people are only part-time legislators, and as she said, they mostly only vote in June. So really, for 1 month, you can't show up and vote. Paid $87,000 a year, you get a pension. You can't show up for 1 month a year and vote. Come on.
Anything we want to close with? It's the last time we're going to speak to you before Tuesday.
No, I appreciate you having me
All
on,
right.
and I'm looking forward. Really, later today, I'm meeting with Jackie Izzo, as you know, the mayor of Rome, and we're going
Jackie,
to talk
yeah.
about what we can do going forward here. To make sure that Rome is secure, and what else we're going to be able to do for Oneida County.
All right. Stephen Wells, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll break. Come right back. First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX.